Hello, hello. Good morning and welcome to my May Marketing Bootcamp. So happy to have you here as always. And if we haven't connected yet, my name is Amy Yamada and I'm here to help you to deeply connect with yourself, your vision, and your ideal clients so that you can create the impact and the income that you've always wanted. So I'm back here in Kirkland, Washington in the Seattle area. I was in Florida this past week and had a great time there at an amazing conference. And one thing that I always notice when I am at these amazing conferences and masterminds and retreats is that the more I surround myself with that amazing energy, the more I am infused to really take things to the next level with my own journey and my own impact that I want to make and my own dream team that I'm expanding and community even. And what was interesting was, just having looked back at this last week, one of the things that I heard people talk about was how there were those that had really invested in themselves and made things happen, and there were those who had invested in programs and not made things happen. And I always find this really interesting because if the intention is the same, right? If the intention is the same where one person, say two people invest in the same coaching program, or they attend the same event, or they attend a live mastermind, or even with this May Marketing Bootcamp, what's fascinating to me is that people go either one of two ways, right? One or two ways is they either take the information and they do everything. They actually take all the steps. It's not about perfection, but they just do everything they can to put in the effort. And then the others, they get inspired maybe while they're at the event or on the Facebook Live or at the retreat. And then they don't do anything with it. And so there's no judgment. If that's you, there's no judgment. And I've certainly been both, right? So there's been times when I've invested in a program and not completely been committed. And there's other times when I've just been I'm so in this, I'm going to play it all out. I'm all in. This is happening. And it's fine. It's really fascinating to see that you can go one of two ways, right? So there are people who would, jump up to the microphone at this event, for example, and they said, yes, I've invested in these other programs, but I just haven't made it. I just haven't made it happen or haven't had my big breakthrough. And the question I always want to ask them is, what was your effort level in the program that you did? And what was in the gap? And if they can't answer those questions, or if they didn't know what was in the gap, then there's a problem, because I'm just I know that when I look back at anything I've ever invested in, except for maybe one time when there was a scam. There was one woman who ended up going, I think she was arrested or got charged. Anyway, if there's a true scam, that's one thing. But you know what I'm talking about, right? I've invested in other really great programs. And initially, I would enroll in these little programs or online courses, which were great with their content. And if I looked back, honestly, if I didn't get certain types of results that I wanted, it was because my effort level was below average, right? Or it just wasn't where it needed to be to create the results that I wanted. On the other hand, once I really decided that my vision was something that I wanted badly enough and I was fully aligned with it, I just made that commitment to myself and was I'm going to play full out. I'm going to play full out. I'm going to go the distance. I'm going to accept myself when it's not, it's not about perfection. And I'm going to be one of the ones who succeeds. I just decided that. And here's the thing. Here's the thing I want you to hear is if you've ever done that, or maybe you're in a program right now, or maybe you're considering a program and you're afraid, what if I fail? Or what if I do what I've always done and not finish? And I know there's people that sometimes have that fear, and all that is doing is reflecting a limiting belief, right? It's well, what's your plan if you don't do the program or don't take the steps, whether you do a program or not, or don't, read the book and actually follow the steps in the book? What's your plan B, And so I myself always bring it back to the vision, right? That's why we started this whole experience, this boot camp, with your vision. And what's my why? What's my big dream? Like we talked about yesterday, what's my big dream? And how badly do I want this? And am I willing to do what it takes to go there? And if not, take the pressure off and say, you know what, I'm good with where I am now. But I know that most of the time there is that thing, there is that big dream, there is that vision that maybe sometime, there's been a time when you've had this visualization or this vision come to you. I know I've certainly had those powerful soul-infused moments. I'm thinking about Sonia right now, who's in my Powerhouse community, those soul-infused moments where it's oh my gosh, the vision is so powerful. It's as if it has already happened. How many of you have had that kind of experience? How many of you have had that moment where you've seen something so vividly, whether you were riding your bike or on the ocean and just looking out the water, or maybe even just like taking a shower or walking your dog? Like, I've had those moments where a vision will come to me when I'm in that like really calm state. And it's like, was that a vision or a memory? So some of those visions for me have been the time that I was on the North Shore of Oahu back in 2011 after my mom passed away. I don't know if some of you might not know the story, but my friend Tara invited me to Hawaii after my mom passed away about 6 months later. And she said, "You've been taking care of everybody else. Why don't you come to Oahu, where she was living for a few years, and let me take care of you for a week?" I mean, I think about that conversation and how she led with so much compassion. And I was like, oh my gosh, this would be so amazing. And I went there, and I'll never forget the moment when I was on the North Shore of Oahu. I wasn't even planning on sharing the story this morning, but I feel like somebody who's watching right now or watching the replays meant to hear this. So I'm standing like at the ocean, and you know that feeling of like when your feet are in the sand and the ocean, the waves are coming in and that sand kind of trickles under your feet. It's like this really cool experience. And I had this vision that just came to me so powerfully. It was as if it had already happened. And the vision was all about hosting these retreats for women where I got to have this kind of feeling that Tara had created for me of just like, you're going to be okay. Not only that, but you're going to be extraordinary. Not only that, this is the next shift in your life. And I knew it was going to happen. And so even back then, that's when I started to do retreats. I did some retreats with my dear friend Katie Wygant back then, and it was a combination of wellness, mindset, abundance. So it was kind of a broader theme than what I've come back around to do now with Powerhouse. But I only bring this up because it's fascinating to me. It's like when the vision is so strong, when you want it badly enough, when you've committed to it full out, like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I just know that this is absolutely happening. Like, then it's about taking those steps and making it happen. And it was my heart is so full when I think back to that memory, because Tara gave me such a gift. She's still a dear friend to me to this day. And I just felt like I could do this. So anyway, to bring it back to today, I wanted to focus on the effort piece, right? So to bring it back to my original story, I took you down a road. This happens sometimes. But to bring it back to the effort, what I noticed the difference between one person and another is that the effort is either there or it's not there. And that effort is reflecting a belief system. It's reflecting a belief system. Do you believe, even if it's a total stretch, that you can do this? Like I've seen visions of myself speaking on bigger and bigger stages. And I've even seen myself traveling in third world countries with a group of my powerhouse entrepreneurs. I've seen myself giving back in a big way and bringing the people that I love with me so that we can stand shoulder to shoulder. I've seen myself writing a book and going on a book tour and really sharing my message with the world on a bigger platform. Like, these things have come to me as if they were like a dream that are now a vision that I know that I'm feeling guided to do. So do you see how like it all kind of has this nice like golden thread that comes through it, where it's like, okay, I don't have to know the how right now. I just know that this is a message I'm meant to share. I just know that this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And I know that this is where I'm heading. So to bring it back, what does that have to do with today's theme of the power of storytelling in your enrollment or sales conversations? I mean, I just went on a couple different tangents here. So sometimes I just allow myself to flow through because I know someone's meant to hear these stories. And I also know that when you are here to make a difference for someone else, you get to also do some storytelling as well. So let's reel it back for a moment. Yesterday, I was sharing with you that I have a seven-step system that is for you to have an effective sales or an enrollment conversation. I like to call it a make a difference conversation that's beyond you, that's beyond business. And so the acronym is Beyond You, BEYOND, and the letter U. And here's the thing, like I mentioned yesterday, there's a lot of different business coaches that teach sales conversations, whether it's a series of questions or their own acronym. And whenever I think back to like all of my sales training, because remember I worked in the media for like 15 years and I did lots of training, and I did like everything from like working one-on-one with business owners that were local and smaller, all the way up to negotiating with high pressure media buyers, where I was one of multiple markets, of multiple radio stations, of multiple reps. Like, I was competing against all these people to win the buy. And even then, I focused on deep connection. Even then, I focused on, if I'm just going to be another number, then I'm going to make sure that I go from being just another number to really standing out. So to bring it back to the conversation, so yesterday was all about the be and beyond you, finding out what is their big dream. So if you're talking to your ideal client, it's really important that you find out what is their big dream. And if you want to go back and hear how I broke that down so it's really clear, you can listen to yesterday's training, okay? So the next section, the E and the Y. Are you ready? Are you excited? The E and the Y are all about effort and yes, you can. Effort and yes, you can. So one of the things that I notice is missing from a lot of other sales trainings is to find out what effort is the person or the business owner or the individual putting towards the goal, right? So you know their big dream, and what is the effort? Like, I want to know, what is the effort that you've put in these last 3 months into this big dream and into this vision? And what effort are you putting in today? And the reason why I bring up this word effort is because I want to know what kind of person I am in front of right now, because I tend to be one of those people who sees the good in every single person I connect with, right? And I see the vision for them and with them, and sometimes they don't see themselves. I also know, sadly, that some people may not be open or coachable. And there have been times in the past where I've brought them in, like I've enrolled them into my program because I could see what's possible. And what's sad is that they're just not in the practice of putting in the effort. Now, just because they've never put in effort doesn't mean that they won't. I just want to uncover some things because ultimately I'm so committed to coaching people that are open and coachable, right? And if I have my amazing powerhouse community, if I have a few people that are the weakest link who come in and they drag their feet, even if they're nice people, they drag their feet, they let their limiting belief guide them versus their coach guide them and the community lift them up, they're going to pull the whole community down. And I'm sad to say this, but it's like, I will do whatever it takes to help them with a breakthrough. Ultimately, they get to stand in their power and take responsibility. So I want to know at this crucial moment, this beyond you, it's beyond you and me, right? Beyond you, like, what is the effort that you have been taking in alignment with this big dream? Have you been making effort? And what effort are you putting in now? Now, sometimes they'll answer me and the effort they're putting into it now is actually, from my point of view, not in alignment to their goal. Either they're all over the place, they don't have a clear plan, they don't have a clear message, they don't have a clear vision. Like, I can see so clearly what's missing. They don't know how to deeply connect with their ideal clients. So it's not that, like, if they're doing things that are not in alignment, I just want to know that they're putting in some effort. I'm here to welcome action takers and coach those people, because otherwise, what are we doing? And I'm not here to waste time. Okay. So that's the effort piece. And if they're stuck, like the second layer of that is like, what's holding you back? Like, if you feel like you're putting in, because sometimes you're like, well, I feel like I'm doing everything, or I've been doing these things, but it's just not working. Like, then I'll ask them, well, what do you think is holding you back? And I love it when people take responsibility. I love it when they say, you know what, Amy? I think it's my mindset. I think that while I'm taking these steps, I think there's something in me that my mindset that it's just not happening. So I'm like, okay, now we've got something to work with, because you've taken, you put in some effort, you see what your biggest challenges are, what's holding you back, where you're stuck, and now we can work with something. So once I have that information, I love that moment, because now I'm like, okay, I've got this. Then if and only if I see that they are open and coachable and receiving of what I'm about to share, then I'm about to bring on the yes, you can story. Yes, you can, because I believe in you. Yes, you can do this. And so here's something that so many people, they go straight into coaching, right? They're like, I'm just going to tell you exactly what to do. Now, there's a time and place for that. However, in the Beyond You conversation, what I recommend is that you share a story, the power of storytelling, a deeply connected story where they can see themselves in your story. Right? So what does that look like? Remember my PSR? So this is like the little breakdown within the Beyond You. PSR, problem, solution, result. So first you lead with compassion, right? So if I'm hearing someone and if in my heart of hearts I can relate to what they're saying, I'll say, you know what, Sarah, I hear you. Like, I understand. So that's the lead with compassion piece. Then you go into the PSR. I remember when I was, in a similar place. So use a story that's relevant to what they've shared with you. So actively listen, put yourself in their shoes, and take yourself back to a time when you may have done something or felt something similar to where they are now and where you were then, all the way up to where you are now. So I might say, hey, you know what? I totally understand. Like, I remember when I was in that place when I really wanted to break through to the 6-figure mark and beyond. I see the word beyond keeps coming up now, and beyond. And I found myself, I was working with clients. I did have some, I had launched my business. I was working with clients. I had these little packages. I had a bunch of, like, a menu of all these little packages. I had a really broad message. And here's the thing. I wasn't able to, in my mind, I couldn't see how I was able to really make a difference for people because I was only working with them for a short amount of time. And it also wasn't a sustainable business for me because these packages were so little, like $250, $500, maybe $1,000 if I was lucky. And I didn't have enough clientele to make the difference I wanted to make in this world and also earn the income that I wanted to earn in order to be able to do this all the time, So I would relate to them, right? I would go back and relate to them, then I would say, so remember, that's the problem, right? They have a problem. I had a problem. Then what was the solution? The solution was I decided to take a step back and look at all my packages. I got rid of all these piddly little ones that weren't making a difference for anyone and weren't making my business sustainable. And I created one signature package, just one. I created one signature package. So I created the signature package. So here's another golden nugget. This is a good one. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone teach this piece, so I hope you're listening. When you are sharing the story of the solution and you're break it down, first of all, break it down into steps or like foundational elements of what you did. Like, what did you do successfully to get to the other side? And if you don't know, think about the result that you created and what problem you had, and reverse engineer it so you can see those steps or those core elements clearly. And then share them. And this is the golden nugget I want you to hear, is to slow it down and break it down into these steps as if you can imagine them picking up a pen and writing them down, right? If you were leading a workshop and you wanted everyone to write something down, you wouldn't say, okay, first this happened, then this, and that. It's like nobody could keep up with you. So it'll take a little practice. But this is my advanced training of tone of voice, pace, when to drop in, when to stand in your power, when to use, speak from your core, when to speak from your heart. You know what I mean? So this is like my more advanced beyond you training. So you want to slow it down, say, so here's what, and lean in. It's like a lean in moment where you say, you know what? So here's what I did. So you're about to give them a little secret of what it is that you did. So first I got rid of these little packages that were not serving anybody. And then I created my signature offering or my signature package. So that was the first step. I created the signature package that was a premium, high-end, 6-month private coaching package. And I go into the details of that. The second thing I did was I connected with my ideal clients, both online and in person. And so I might go into a little bit of detail on that. And third, I made offers to those people that I knew I could make a bigger difference for if we had the chance to work together for 6 or 12 months. So then ultimately, that was the solution piece, right? You shared the problem, then the solution, then you go into the result. This is another piece most people miss. So as a result, or ultimately, what I was able to do was to bring on some really wonderful high-paying clients that I could make a bigger difference for because I was going further with them in a one-on-one scenario. And I was able to start building the foundation of my business. Fast forward to today, and I have a multiple thriving 6-figure coaching business, and I'm working my 7-figure plan. And now I have expanded to having, my group coaching program and community. I lead high-end retreats, and now I have a 3-day live event. So I paint the picture of where I was then and where I am now and what's possible for them. And yes, you can. Yes, you can. If I can do it, I know you can do it. And it's not that I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying if you just get rid of all the distractions and follow this clear plan, you can make it happen too. So do you see how when you break it down like that, where you find out the effort they've put in and what effort they're putting in now and what's really holding them back, and then go into storytelling and lead with compassion and slow it down because that's when they're going to be receiving that information. And make sure, this is another key thing, when you're telling the story, make sure you keep it in the past tense. Now with coaches, which I know a lot of you are, and even healers and consultants, it's easy to naturally go into present tense. So instead of me saying, so I created my signature offering and I connected with my ideal clients and I learned how to make an offer, which by the way is congruent with my create, connect, offer system, which is congruent with my offering. Do you see how there's like that golden thread that goes through all of that? It's pretty awesome, right? And I could have easily gone, so what you need to do is you need to create your signature offering. And then the second thing is that you need to connect with your ideal clients, right? Even though those are the steps, I'm sharing the steps in the form of a story in past tense so that they can see themselves in the story, and stories build connection. They build that deep connection. Does this make sense? This is like one of my favorite things to train, because this can be that little tweak and distinction for those of you who are already having sales conversations, or make a difference conversations, that can really take things to the next level. Okay? So, is this helpful? I just want to take a little sip of my coffee with my little Hola mug. I did this backwards. Hola. Oh, that's my lipstick. Isn't that nice? You ladies understand. Lipstick on the mug. Okay. So, going to give some shout outs here. Hey, Valerie. Hey, Yana. Hi, Allie. Hi, Ella. Welcome. Hi, Allie again. Jennifer, good morning. Hi, Yvette. Hi, Shannon. Hey, Kelly. Hi, Jody. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Kelly says, I need to connect more closely with my vision. That's part of my gap. See, what's great about this is what's so great, is that when you start doing this type of conversation with others, you get to also do it in your own life. You know, like sometimes I'll have my own beyond you conversation to myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a step back. What's my big vision? What effort am I putting in? What effort have I been putting in? Because the results you have now are the result of what you did 3 months ago. So what were you doing 3 months ago that created this result? I mean, whatever the result is, whether you like the result or not, it's related to what you were doing 3 months ago. So there's no beat up around that. It's just like, okay, where do you want to be 3 months from now? And what effort are you putting in now? Right? It's fun, right? Jody says, I can see that vision for you also. Oh, thank you, Jody. I really appreciate that. Hey, Kate. Hey, Margaret. Yes, effort is so important. Yep. Yeah. So Kate says, it's so tough when someone is not coachable, have to stay detached. Right. So I'm so transparent with people on calls. I'm like, I ultimately, you get to decide if you're going to be open and coachable. And this is when, remember, sometimes the walls will come up. Like sometimes even if you've connected with somebody, at some point people can get triggered because they're in a call with you that's around transformation, and that brings up all sorts of stuff for people. So anytime I feel a wall coming up, then I do what I can to bring it back down. So I may say, yeah, I'm feeling your frustration. Like my experience of you is that you're frustrated right now, or there's something coming up for you right now. So sometimes I'll ask the question, like, what's coming up for you right now? And anytime you ask a question, be quiet. Like that's another thing I always remind people of, that, so they can really openly share. And I just say to them, if this vision is something that you want badly enough, I invite you to just decide and commit and take action. That's my DCA mantra, right? Decide, commit, and take action. Or decide that it's just not a priority right now, or it's just not that you don't want it that badly, and take the pressure off and live your life and be grateful for the life you have. Like sometimes what you offer is not for everyone that you connect with. I can sense it, like intuitively, and for my intuitives out there, you get this. Intuitively, I can sense the energy of a person, right? So over the phone, if I sense that there's some red flags, not in them being a bad person, they're not a bad person, just some red flags that what they're saying and what they really mean intuitively are not congruent, then why would I make them an offer that's not congruent to their true vision? You know what I mean? So I'm like, hey, if this is not something that you really want, or if you're in a place where you just don't see the capacity, I mean, I can only help you so much to break through. And if I'm not empowering you to break through, either I may not be the right fit for you, which is totally fine, I'm not attached, or you're just not in a space where this is something that's a priority right now, or maybe this vision is actually not in alignment with you, okay? Yes, Yvette says, feel, felt, found. Yeah, awesome. Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, and Kate mentioned all the using your voice in varying ways. That's another piece, like when you can really slow it down. So it'll be interesting to see as you join me moving forward on my trainings. You'll notice there's times when I use fluctuation, I'll pause, I'll let something sink in. I slow things down when I know that you need to take notes on something. I may repeat something, or I may get excited about something. So it's just about really being playful with that. Plus it keeps the attention, right? So if I always talk like this, it'd be super flat and boring. So does anyone have any questions on this? Any questions? We're going to continue on over the next couple of days. But this is another thing that you get to practice moving forward, of really finding out what is their effort level. Because you want to work with, I'm telling you, you want to work with action takers. If they're not going to take action, then we're all wasting time here, because they're not going to get the result. As you and I both know, the transaction is one thing. The true fulfillment on both sides happens when they are, fulfilling on the deliverables. Okay. Kelly, question. When I have a call and someone is really struggling, do you discuss their vision and let them go? It sounds like they are not a prospect, as my solution is not helpful for the current problem they have. When somebody's really struggling, I really do my best to get to what's the core issue? Like what's truly the problem? And first and foremost, I'm here to make a difference. So on this call, in my heart of hearts, I do what I can to make a difference for them in the time that we have. So, Kelly, if it's somebody that you don't feel you can help, but you do have a recommendation for them that's outside of you, that's in line with their vision, then I would mention that. And so what that can look like is, well, you know what? If I were in your shoes, this is what I would do. Because they're coming to you as an expert. And even if what you offer is not in alignment with their vision, or you feel like they're not quite primed, or they don't have the criteria to be your best client. So that's another thing that some of you may write down right now. What's my best client criteria? What's my best client criteria? What should they have? What are the bullet points that are important for them to have in order for me to best help them? So if they don't match up with your best client criteria, then you can say, here's based on your vision, here's what I would recommend for you, or here's what I would do if I were in your shoes. And just tell them from your heart what you would recommend. And if you don't know, then just say, share what you know for sure. So if I don't know something, I would still share something. I would say, if I were you, I would research that. I would Google that. I know it sounds so basic, but at least it's giving them something. I would actually Google that, or I would talk to a business attorney about that, or I would find someone who's an expert in Facebook advertising or in franchising, whatever it is. I would just give them something so that both of you can I always think of another mantra in my life is the Mother Teresa quote that says, "Let no one leave you without feeling better and happier." And so I think about what can I do? So if you're one of my 10,000 people, and I plan to meet many more than that. But remember the average that I told you yesterday, most of us out of 7.4 billion will meet 10,000 people in our lifetime. So if you're one of my 10,000 and we come together for this moment where you share with me your vision, your big dream, if there's one thing that I could do to leave you feeling better and happier, then I've done my job. I'm here on purpose, that it's beyond my enrollment conversation, then I think about how there have been times in my journey where I met someone and they shared with me one thing. Maybe it was an Uber driver or someone I met on an airplane, and I'll hear something from them wow, they left me feeling better and happier, and they didn't have to take the time to care enough to do that. And I believe that the world is a better place when we just do that. Yeah. So, okay, Jody, how do you detach enough from the story you are telling yourself in order to share it to help others? Okay, how do you detach enough from the story you're telling yourself? I guess I needed a little more information, the story I'm telling myself. The way I stay detached in general is that I think about how anytime I make it about me, then I'm no longer focusing on making a difference for them being my ideal clients, them being my audience, them being the people I'm meant to touch during my life, the legacy I'm meant to lead in my life. So the way I stay detached is that I remind myself that it's not about me. That's why I created that beyond you conversation. It's not about me. So how can I go beyond myself, get detached and say, if I get attached, that's me holding on. This has to work, or this, or okay, storytelling. Okay. The other piece is sometimes when you're in an enrollment conversation and a beyond you conversation, someone is always enrolling someone. So either I'm enrolling them to actually feel stronger in their vision and enrolling them in how this step that I offer, Powerhouse California, is perfect for many people, but showing them how this can help them get to their vision. It's that's part of the enrollment, or they're enrolling me in their stories of why they think they can't. right? Why they think they can't. So I hope that helps. Shannon, love that you put that quote on your website. Oh, I did. It's been a little while since I rebranded less than a year ago. I mean, it's not that far out. But that's good to know. I put that quote on my website. Yes, Kelly, you're welcome. Shannon says, how you make people feel. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. If you have any other questions, yes, you bet. You're so welcome. Awesome. Go ahead and post them below, and I'll do my best to come back today. I have a full day since I'm just getting back from my trip. I'll be back on here tomorrow to continue this week, which is all about the offer for my Create Connect offer system. If this has been helpful, go ahead and click on the share button. Put a little note why this has been helpful so that you and I can stand shoulder to shoulder and make a difference for purpose-driven entrepreneurs everywhere. Okay, so sending you all much love, and I will see you here tomorrow. Mwah. Bye.